Welcome to the channel. Now this video is going to be a little bit different than most videos. Now most people find this channel through my winemaking videos. And in those videos, a lot of folks ask me questions about where do you get all this stuff that you're using for all this home winemaking, because I think a lot of folks are wanting to start it, but not really sure where to begin. So in this video, I'm going to show you what it is I use. I'm also going to give you some comments on what kind of I like, what I don't like, just to kind of give you a little bit of guidance. Now, first thing you need to do if you're going to make wine is gotta find grapes, man. Right? So I am lucky to live in an area where we have vineyards. So I'm able to go to like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. You can find different vineyards offering grapes. They're usually about $1 a pound or so. You go pick them and they weigh them and you take them home, right? But some folks are actually growing grapes, and I am growing grapes as well. This year I'm going to be making wine from my own grapes, so make sure you stay tuned. So then one question is, how do you know when your grapes are ready? Well, you know, you can't do it by look, because the anthocyanins and things change the color of the grapes before the sugar level is there for ready for harvest. So what you do is you check the sugar level. And you do that by using a hydrometer. So this is just an easy way to check it. A hydrometer basically is you put grapes on here, you put your liquid, you basically take a mixture of grapes, squish them up, put your liquid on here, this down, this is like diffracts the light, and you just look through, and I'll show you what it looks like, but it's got a little scale on it to tell you what the sugar level is. So I'm using this to monitor my vineyard, but you can also take these to a vineyard that's selling grapes, because you can go through and see how the sugar level is in different parts of the vineyard. So pretty handy little tool. They're only like 10-15 bucks or so, and all these items I'll put links in the description where you can get them. You can go to brew stores and I'll get them, but you know what, sometimes it's easier just to go click 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 and have them delivered to you, right? So this is a hydrometer, so I even take this with me to the vineyards. So the next thing is, once you get them home, you got to crush them. So here is the setup that I use to do my crushing. So this is a fruit crusher, grape crusher. You'll see I've got dogs. Dude, if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen my dogs, because they follow me everywhere. So you're going to see dogs walk through the screen all the time. That's our high production value. But anyway, back to the crusher. So this is a crusher. It's a fruit crusher. Again, I'll put a link to it. Basically, you put your grapes in here, it crushes them, they fall into a bucket. This bucket is a food quality BPA food quality bucket. It's like a fermentation bucket, and again, links to everything below. And then it's where I collect all the juice and things. They do make a stand for these. You can buy these without the stand or with the stand, but for me, I just don't use the stand at all. I just use it without, like this. I just pull up a chair, put this in front, throw grapes, and crush them. Now let me show you something about why I got this crusher this year. So these crushers, they all work about the same. You can see if you look in the middle, there's these teeth, right? And that's what's going to grind the grapes and crush them. But the thing is, one challenge I've had with these is these outer hoppers tend to rust on the cheap ones. The grinding parts are usually all okay, the gearing and all that, this usually okay, but it's the hopper. It's made of these cheap tins usually. That's why I have switched over to this one. This one is a BPA free plastic, right? So it's a food quality plastic. So it's kind of like the bucket, but in the hopper. So this will not rust. So, you know, it's really annoying pulling out your crusher a year later and seeing that it's rusted. Just saying, right? So I've done that and it sucks. So now I've moved to this plastic one. So I would get the plastic. That's just me. And again, it looks, to me, feeling the crushing pieces, they look fine. It's a hard plastic. I think it's going to be fine. So this is what I use to crush. So then once it drops in here, I pick out my stems, because there's going to be some stems and things that go through. You can ferment in this, because this is a fermentation quality bucket. So it's food grade, right? So you could, depending on what your volume is, you could just, you know, if it's to here or so, you could just ferment in this. I usually do bigger batches than this, but you know, it comes to batch size. But let me show you some others. So this, like I said, 6-gallon. This one, it might be my favorite. This is a Marchisio fermenter, 100 liters. So you can do the gallon conversion, but I'm guessing probably up to about 15 gallons or so of grapes, thereabouts, 15 gallons of grape juice and stuff probably in here. This one, it's an Italian model, Marchisio. Again, I'll put links to it. It's a little bit pricier. It's not cheap, I'll tell you that. But it's pretty nice. It's really nice. And then the inside has a coating, right? I don't know if you got a good view of it, but it's got a nice coating on the inside, so it doesn't rust, right? It's got this lid, so the lid is adjustable, so you lower it to wherever it is you want, and then it's got this tube that goes around the outside. You pump it, and it seals it, right? The seal is, kind of not great, but so you have to check it. You have to check it a lot. But that's what I use. I like to use this one a lot. Great fermenter. Now I've also done batches bigger than this. And in those instances, I get a food quality barrel, 55-gallon barrel, food quality. You find these online. I don't know what they're shipping in these things, like, I don't know, pickles or something. I don't know. So people, they offer these, you usually get them online about 20 bucks or so, through like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I put a plug on mine here. I put this in, the valve. So yeah, so I put that in. One thing to keep in mind is those things get heavy, right? So 55 gallons of liquid, pretty heavy. Even 100 liters of liquid, pretty heavy. So what I did is, it's kind of old, but I took a little dolly from Home Depot and I screwed on a board. And then what I do is I put my fermenter on here and I just wheel it around, right? It's pretty handy. So dude, make one of these if you're using using a big fermentation tank. I also make smaller ones, right? So it's a smaller bucket and a jar. So whatever, you also have these depending on how much you're doing. A lot of times these things will have a hole. We'll see here, right? So that is made for an airlock. Let me show you an airlock real quick. So this is an airlock. This will fit in that little hole. So it's made to go in there and it'll fit in there, right? So the airlock prevents air from going in, but permits gas to escape. So it uses, basically what you do is you put water in there, right? So it will bubble out the water, but won't let the air go into the tank. So there's a jar, about a gallon size. This is about a 2.5 gallon bucket, also got a hole on it. So I would say, no matter what you're doing, I would say get a bunch of these. So you get like a 5 or 6 pack of these things, because you're gonna find you're gonna need them, right? Yeah, so I would say get the airlocks, get a bunch of them, and then go ahead and, you know, whatever size you think you're gonna harvest for your grapes, whatever size for the fermentation bucket. So one thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing your fermentation is don't fill it all the way up. You want to keep it down, right? So a bigger bucket is better than a smaller bucket, because you don't want this thing bubbling over, because once you start fermentation, it's going to get CO2 bubbling and you're going to push up the cap of grape skins. So the volume is going to look like it expands like a lot, right? So don't fill it all the way up, right? Just get a bigger bucket. So as far as fermentation, you use yeast. This is wine yeast. Do not use bread yeast. Use wine yeast, man. I usually use the blue pack. This is the red one. This year I'm going to make a Zinfandel Syrah table wine, maybe a little Merlot in there. So for me, this is a little bit, the red is a little bit for the bigger, bolder wine. So I'm gonna use red this year. I usually use blue, that's more the general purpose. But I've had really good luck with this Red Star yeast. It's worked every time for me. It's worked great. So really happy with it. So like I said, this year I'm gonna try red. So put your yeast in there, you get fermentation going. So fermentation, you know, depends on your batch. fermentation could take up to a week or so. For me, I usually find it's about 4 days when I use the Marchisio thing. If you got a small one, it might go quicker. So then, after you get fermentation going, you got to figure out when is it ready to press, right? Because next you're going to be pressing your wine. So to find out when, you use what's called a hydrometer. You take a cylinder, put wine in that, and you drop your hydrometer in there. And what that does is it measures the density of the liquid, right? So sugar water is denser than alcohol water. So it's got measurements on the side. Some of them are actually color coded. They give you colors so you kind of know where, so it's even easier to read. But it's got numbers all on the side. And for wine, you go to 0.99, which is the top line, right? So you need one of these. Get cheap, right? They're real cheap. Cylinder, and you're ready to go check, see when your wine is ready. So once it's ready, we're going to press it. So this is where it gets fun, right? Let me show you my press stuff. Okay, so this is my little press, my Pressito. So basically, let me show you with this one a little bit easier. So this is my regular one. So with this one, I'll put up to about, I don't know, 100 and something pounds of grapes into this and press it. It goes like 7 gallons or so. This is the one I use mostly. So the idea is you put it on this thing, a little base, put this on here. Then you have these half circles, put them together, and then you tweak it down, right? And that will press the grapes down. It will squeeze out all the juice. So then what will happen is it will come out through these slat holes, right? So there are slots there, and that will come in here and pour down there. Now let me tell you a couple of tips. If you've seen these bags, dude, get these bags. This bag will fit. It's got a little hole for your stick part, right? And it's open on the other end. This will fit in here. Put your grapes in here. That way, when you're done pressing and it's all, you know, just solid gook, take your bag out and just get rid of it. Just, you know, dispose of it that way. Because if you don't do that, then you don't have to, but I can tell you it's nicer. If you don't do that, then you take this piece off, scrape them, all that stuff, and then handle it that way. But I can tell you it's better with those bags. So, you know, I've got my little press. This is because I don't have a big yield from my backyard. I use a bigger one when I go buy grapes usually. So a lot of times I'll buy 150, 200 pounds. So I would use that one. This one is, I'm gonna focus more on different little varietals. So I try to do this. But if you're not even using this much, you can get these mesh bags, right? So these little bags, they're porous. So you just put your grapes in there, press them, you know, however it is you want to get them done. But I can tell you, like this little press, it's not that much. These things, you'd be surprised how cheap this is. It's pretty cheap. I think they're 70 bucks, thereabouts. And you can use them year after year. I can tell you this one, I've been using this one. You can see it's still pretty good shape, right? This one is probably 4 years old, so it works great. I use it year after year. So another thing is now, so you're going to get wine pressed out of this, right? So it's going to come out this lip. Then I get like a funnel. I use a water bottle. So I have a water service. So I catch it all in my water bottle from here. And I'll tell you why. After you press your grapes, right? You press them, all goes in here. There's still going to be gook at the bottom, which that's the technical term, gook. But it's like grape skins, grape seeds, stems, cover stuff and all that, whatever. So it's not all liquid, because what you do in the winemaking process is you just let it settle, right? So leave it for a day or two and all that stuff will settle to the bottom. So it will settle to the bottom, then I'll siphon it off. But check this out. When I use a water bottle, these are, you know, they're clean because they're coming from the water company, right? Then, so I don't have to worry about cleaning it before so much. I do, but not, I don't have to worry about it as much. Then when I'm done, I don't really have to worry about it so much, because then I just kind of spray it out and leave it up for the water guy, right? So he'll take it. So I don't have to do all the, you know, the real messy stuff. So I leave it for the water guy. So, so we press our wine, put it in our water bottle, all right? This one. Now we've got it in here in our water bottle. We'll let the lees settle down to the bottom. Then we're going to siphon off the top. And so what I use is, let me show you. Here's my siphon. This siphon rules. Let me tell you, man. So this one, siphons usually they're capped at the bottom, so you don't suck up the gook. So there's a slot up a little bit higher. This one, it just, you give it one pump and it starts working right away. It also has a clip, and clip it on the bottle. It will work right away, and it works really fast. So this siphon, I love this siphon. It's a good one. So I would recommend you get a good siphon. The thing is, it's a lot less messy than trying to do some crazy thing, just trying to save a couple bucks. So I would get a siphon. So once we've siphoned, here we'll pretend this is our wine after siphoning now. Then what you want to do is you want to check the acidity of your wine, because it doesn't necessarily correlate with the amount of sugar. So you harvest according to the sugar, but then you're going to adjust the acidity, right? If you don't do this, a lot of times the wines can taste kind of flat and just kind of nothing, not kind of really missing something. And a lot of times it's because you didn't do your TA, your tartaric acid or total acidity. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can do the experimental science nerd way, right, with a burette and do your titrations and all that stuff. That's one way. You can get a really expensive meter. They're about $1,000, $1,200 or so, and then use their strips. So you can do it that way. Or this year I'm just using little tubes. So this is the little kit, a little TA kit. It's got tubes pre-filled with water, little dropper. So you put the amount that you're supposed to put in there, shake it, and then you use the kind of like a pH color indicator there, and that will tell you what it is. Now you're usually going to have to add some tartaric acid. So this is food grade tartaric acid. Again, I'll put links for this stuff where you can pick it up. It's not that bad. These are a little pricier than what you think it should be, but this isn't pricey at all. But this is convenient, right? So I like these. So check your level, put in your tartaric acid, check it again when you're ready to go, and you're ready to go. You can do a couple different things for storage or secondary fermentation. You can put it in oak. If you've seen my videos before, you've seen that I'm a fan of oak, right? So I've got 5-gallon oak barrels that I used. Let me say something about the oak. So when I first started, when I was using my big fermenter, I was using 20-gallon oak barrels. Those worked great. 20-gallon oak barrels were smaller than the 55-gallon. I put them in a little kind of like a wagon, so I just pulled them around with a wagon. So those worked really well. The problem is they're 20 gallons, which is a lot of wine, right? That's a lot. It's a lot of wine if it's just you and a couple friends for one varietal. So I tried to scale down, right? So I want to do different wines. So I got 5-gallon barrels. The problem with the 5-gallon barrels, I thought it was just going to make it more intense. But what I found out what happened is that the wine evaporated a lot. So I had a lot more evaporation out of my 5-gallon compared to the big 20-gallon. So what I have done is I either put it in the 5-gallon oak barrel for only a little bit, maybe like a month or two, then take it out, just try to kind of flavor it, but then take it out. But then what I do is I put the oak rods or the oak chips. So right now I'm focusing more on the oak chips and those oak spiral rods. So of course I'll link to all this stuff, but the thing is that way you can keep your wine in your glass carboy and then just put those spirals in there. So from my understanding, it looks to me like they last for about 2 to 3 months, and then kind of the flavor is out, right? So you could put them in there 2-3 months, taste it. If you want more oak, put another spiral in there, right? So I would kind of move more towards that section as opposed to having the barrels. Barrels are cool, but the 5-gallon barrels I've found really not worth the trouble. So that's my experience with the barrels. So then let's get to, well, let me say with that you can put in, I don't have any with me, but malolactic acid or malolactic bacteria if you want to do malolactic fermentation. That's what I did in my oak. I don't have any of the things here, but you can get that. I think that you might want to get at the brew store, because those are active cultures. So with that, we have picked our grapes, we've crushed them, we've fermented them, we pressed them, we let the lees settle out, transferred off the top to another bottle, checked our acid level, let it sit. What's next? We're ready to bottle, baby. So let's talk about bottling. So for bottling, you need a couple things. You need bottles. You also need corks, right? So then the question is, how do you get a big jug of wine into a small bottle without spilling it everywhere and making your wife really mad at you? They make this one. I can tell you, you could just, siphon out of a tube, but man, it's gonna be a mess. I can tell you it's gonna be a big mess. Just saying. So what I use are these little tubes. It's a transfer tube. So you put your tube onto here and then onto your siphon. This has a little ball stopper, right? So it's a valve, like a ball valve, and then it's hooked to a stick. You can kind of see. So the idea is, if you press the stick, it will flow. So like it'll hit the bottom of the bottle. That will allow it to flow out the wine. Lift it up, it'll stop. So what you can do is put this on here, fill it. When it gets up kind of to the top, kind of take it out. But the thing is, you're going to be stuck like with here, right? So you're going to want to fill it up higher. So then you just kind of put it up against the side a little bit, and it will, you can control the flow like that. It's like $10, man, and I can tell you it's way better than explaining on why there's wine all over the floor. So get one of these. Then we have to put the cork in. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You make these single ones, right? So with this one, grabs the top of the bottle. You put your cork in here, this little slot, and it pushes it, corks it. These work really well. The one thing I would say is, depends on how many bottles you're doing. You're doing one case, not a big deal. I would use one of these because it's easy to store. It's small, out of the way, not a big deal. Not a big deal. If you're going to do something more than maybe 2 cases, I would consider getting a floor stopper bottle, floor capper, what they call them. This one, you put your bottle here, put your cork here, it's got a little grabber, so it'll grab. Then this one will push it down in like that. The thing is, this lever is a lot easier than this, right? So if you're doing 1 or 2 cases, this is not a big deal. You can do more, but after 4 cases of this thing, you can only want one of these. So this one works just a little bit better like that. So that's how you do the bottling. One thing you want to keep in mind when you are doing all this wine stuff is that you want to make extra, because you always need extra wine. But the thing is, when you are racking your wine from one carboy to another, or into the barrel or out of the barrel, you're going to start losing volume. So in addition to all these, to carboys, I get small bottles. Let me show you. So this is one that I use. It's conveniently from a brewery. But you can get these whatever online, or you can go to your favorite brew place, and these are like little beer things. So I get this, I put a stopper with the airlock, and I do smaller volumes in here, because again, when you start transferring things over across bottles, it gets you start losing volume. So you want to have extra to top off. And if you have small volumes, it's easier to top off that way. So you don't have to worry about, you know, having a big head space on a 6-gallon carboy. So I would recommend you get something like that. So if you want to see more wine content, I have actually started a second channel focusing on the vineyard stuff and wine. So I'll put a link to that. It's called Twin Trails Vineyard. So Twin Trails Vineyard focuses on winemaking and growing grapes, and also visiting some wineries. Check out, see what other people are doing. Just having a good time. So I'll put a link to Twin Trails Vineyard, so make sure you check that one. And if you think you got any value out of this, I would really appreciate if you just give me a like. It helps spread my videos. I'm a small channel, just a small passionate channel. So you know, it helps me if people like the video and help move it on to others. So I would just ask you to give me a like. And with that, dude, go make some wine, and I will see you in the next video. I'm gonna go jump in the pool, man. It's hot today. Catch you next time.